Hello people, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Hope everyone's having a great day and my camera's already doing a madness, not sure why. Hope everyone's had a great Monday. It is Monday, 26th of August, and of course, Arsenal, everything is again happening in a way. Arsenal transfer business is open, Arsenal trying to buy, trying to sell and everything. Somehow it is still happening, yet at the same time, somehow, in a weird way to be honest, nothing has been confirmed as of yet. Legitimately, nothing has been confirmed as of yet. Nketiah is still here. Merino hasn't been confirmed. Nothing has happened. And that is the weird one here. That is a weird one here. The fact that we are 4 days pretty much. On Friday, the transfer window shuts. And we have nothing being confirmed about this. This is very weird at the moment. Edu has a lots of stuff to do. Technically, he needs to sell 2 or 3 players. And Arsenal need to sign 2 or 3 players. So everything at the moment is, in a way, up in the air. Nobody knows what's going on, how everything's gonna develop, and where are we going from here. Which is very, very interesting at the moment. Obviously, Edu is doing his masterclass and being super slow, doing nothing pretty much, as always. Took us a month and a half to sign Calafiori. Took us a month. We have signed, well, still not confirmed, but allegedly we have signed Mikel Merino. I wonder when he's going to be unveiled though, because there are rumors that it's going to happen today. But at the same time, nobody knows what's going on. He hasn't been unveiled. It is evening already and Arsenal still haven't announced Mikel Merino's signing. So that is a hell of a weird one still. Edu Nketiah's deal yesterday fell through, but today we have new links. There are some links with Kieran Tierney, by the way, which is kind of very interesting. Arsenal are looking at that new winger, Skov Olsen. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to look a bit into that as well. We're going to look at some other things, but yeah, it's weird. 4 days in transfer window left and almost no movement whatsoever from Arsenal still to sign anyone, which is kind of confusing at the moment, which is not as confusing and kind of pissing me off as well. Because how comes in the late days of transfer window we have seen more action in the last week than we have seen the rest of the transfer window? It kind of doesn't make sense, does it? It's kind of weird, but it is what it is. I guess we have to go with the flow. But yeah, before we get into this, of course, if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, comment in the chat, get interactive, let's talk about things, and let's get down to business. Basically, we're gonna kick things off with talking, of course, about transfers. So we're gonna do this, do that, and here we bloody go. Some news yesterday came out, not sure whether it's true or not, whether it's gonna happen or not, but Arsenal allegedly are sounding out reps of Simon Adingra as well from Brighton. He gave a great assist to João Pedro last weekend to win 2-1 against who they won against? Manchester United, was it? Yeah, they won 2-1 against Manchester United. He gave a great assist to Manchester United of possibility move to North London. Player allegedly would be keen. Brighton are tough negotiators, obviously, but to be honest, Brighton are not that tough negotiators. They know the value and they stick to it. Arsenal are just bad in negotiating. That's more of that type of thing. Now, whether it's gonna happen or not remains to be seen. This sentence is hella weird. I don't know why it's even a sentence. This is a warm one though. Keep eyes peeled. Like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? But let me know down in comments, would you take Adingra at Arsenal? The biggest news of today are, according to Fabrizio Romano though, Edu Nketiah could be moving to Crystal Palace. Understand Crystal Palace have submitted an initial bid to Arsenal for Edu Nketiah. Club-to-club talks now start after player open door to Crystal Palace project on Sunday, which is very interesting because nobody has been in for Edu at the same time. Everyone is kind of going step by step, like moving up the ladder of teams that could sign Edu Nketiah. Marseille, we skipped that step. Then we moved to Nottingham Forest. We skipped that step, and now we are at Crystal Palace. Is it the last step of this ladder or not? Remains to be seen. Because there are more advancements in these talks in one day than there have been with any other deal, regards of Edu Nketiah in general. Because after official bid from Crystal Palace, agreement has been done between Palace and Edu Nketiah camp on personal terms. Contract is in place, seller agreed, and final details being sorted to prepare all documents. Club agreements are getting closer. It's getting closer and closer, and finally it was reported by David Ornstein a bit later on that Arsenal are expected to accept offer from Crystal Palace to sign Edu Nketiah, bid worth of £25 million plus £5 million in add-ons. similar to the deal with Nottingham Forest had in place. Crystal Palace and Arsenal are in direct talks and no issue anticipated on the personal terms of 25-year-old. So Fabrizio Romano says that personal terms with Edu Nketiah have been agreed upon, yet at the same time, David Ornstein is saying that that the Arsenal are expected to accept the deal and the personal terms could be just the issue here. If it is an issue, there's no issue expected on personal term agreement. So if you put that together, technically he's already out of the club. But until I see Edu Nketiah in Crystal Palace shirt, I'm not buying this at all. I want to see him Crystal Palace shirt. I'm sick of tired of all these teams being linked, submitting bids, accepted, wages and everything, and then it falls flat in the last second. Until I see Edu Nketiah in freaking Crystal Palace shirt, I'm not getting too excited about this. I'm not gonna lie. And another thing, get the damn deal done. Accept the offer. Doesn't matter. 25 plus 5. Brilliant offer. Accept it and move on. There's still 4 days in transfer window. Edu, you have time to sign a proper striker. Backup for Bukayo Saka. You have the fucking time. Sorry for swearing. It's just pissing me off that this Eddie deal has been dragged out longer than it should have been. He has the time to do these things. You would think so, given how slowly we do it, things in transfer market, not so sure. But Edu Nketiah, accept the deal, move on. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And people, definitely, I 100% can guarantee you, there will be Arsenal fans that are saying, see, patience is paying off. We rejected £23 million bid, then he then got to Nottingham Forest, and we're gonna get 30 million for him. 100% many Arsenal fans will say that, and on top of that they say, give props to Edu. Give props Edu for what? For cleaning up his own mess? If that was the case, how we judge good selling, I don't know. This club is doomed in about 2 years if this keeps up, because he made this mess, putting him on 100k wages, keeping him at the club, not selling in the first chance he got when he got offers about 2 years ago for him. Now all of a sudden it's a great deal, it's a good selling, it's an everything. Nobody would say these things if it wasn't such a debacle. Because everyone knows he's not good enough. Just the question is why it takes so long now. Again, I know this Eddie deal has taken reins and taken the pickup speed much faster than any other deal Arsenal have done this transfer window. Crystal Palace makes for Eddie also more sense. They've been in for Eddie Nketiah for about 5 years, I think. It generally feels that like 4 or 5 years. And they finally might actually get him. The thing is though, he has played quite a bit of minutes, quite a bit of games. He doesn't have the best goal scoring record. But at the same time, I'm gonna try and play devil's advocate here, only because Arsenal fans are, just to please some Arsenal fans who think Edu Nketiah is still a good option. Just because of that, I'm gonna do this. Basically, just because. So let's do this. Edu Nketiah, overall balance. Let's go. Let's do this. Edu Nketiah. He has played 4,096 minutes overall in Premier League, which comes together, if you exclude added time, if you just take full 90 as a face value without added time and everything, it comes down to about, 50 games? No, 50? 50, yeah, 50 games. 50 games, less than 50 games. 48 games? 47 games? 47 games. He has 19 goals, 5 assists in 47 games. Just imagine he plays full 47 games. So in those 47 games, he has 19 goals and 5 assists. So that's 24 points in 47 games. So basically, if you look at this perspective, he gets a point every 2 games. Technically, it's not bad for Crystal Palace, at least. For Arsenal, it's shocking. But for Crystal Palace, it's not bad. If you look, let's just say, from the lens of this perspective that he doesn't play always the full games, he comes on mostly as subs for Arsenal most of the time, and when the result has been decided also most of the time. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I want Edu Nketiah out by any means. I want him gone, I want the profit, and I want Arsenal to sign a proper striker. And I'm pissed off that the deal is taking so long, but just so there is some devil's advocate happening here, because we cannot always just bin him off without giving context. He has played 4,096 minutes, which is about 45? 45, 360, 495. Yeah, about 45, 46 games if you count this as full 90, without added times, extra times, and all that stuff. He has played 46 games in a way from bell to bell. Start of the game till the end of the game. 90 minutes. 46, 47 games. In that time, he has 24 points. And if you look in this perspective, he gives you a point every other game. Which for Crystal Palace is actually pretty good. The question is, can he provide that? Because they still have Eduard, they still have Nketiah. Will he get the game time? Yes, they have gotten rid of Ayew as well now to Leicester. So they are looking for some sort of a replacement as well. Question is, how will he do at Crystal Palace? Because I already have seen Crystal Palace fans say he has 19 goals, 116 games, 7 years in Premier League. It's true. It's true. And there you cannot deny this. If you look overall, it is what it is. For Crystal Palace, he definitely will be a good player. For Arsenal, he's not a good player. Let's just say what it is. Arsenal are a big, big team. And there's no room at the moment for Arsenal for errors. There's no room for having subpar players. And that is the case. We need to get rid of Nketiah. But the thing is, though, if this deal goes through, we sell Nketiah, it means that our bench, in a way, if it is possible, is looking worse and worse and more plain by every player that leaves. Because we had Martin Odegaard in the team. Technically, at the start of the window, we had two backups, Emil Smith-Rowe and Fabio Vieira. Now what's happening? We have sold Emil Smith-Rowe to Fulham. God bless him. Best of luck to him there. Hope he does good. And we have loaned out Fabio Vieira back to Porto. No idea why did we sign him in the first place, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna get into that. We already talked about it yesterday. But yeah, so we have no backup for Martin Odegaard as well now. Who's gonna play? Who is going to play? Because Mikel Arteta promised minutes for Skelly, for Ethan Vanieri even, yet at the same time, he hasn't given them minutes in the first two games. Yes, you can say, oh, it's the first two games, but they have played for under 21s already, especially Skelly. So what are we doing here? Because we are selling the deadwood, which I'm super happy about. In this instance, we are getting rid of subpar players that shouldn't be on our bench at all. Yet at the same time, we are not replacing them with better players that decreases the drop off from the starting 11 to the bench and that doesn't lift overall team as a whole. It's just not happening. It's not happening because we have spent insane amount of money and we are where we were about 5-6 years ago. Our bench was subpar with overpaid contracts with players that were not good enough, and now we are at the same place, to be honest. We are trying to get rid of them. Yes, it's good, yet at the same time, who is going to replace them? Because are we really going to try this tactic now where we sell these players, we put we will have some main guys on the bench, but the rest of the bench is going to be under 21s? There's no chance Arteta plays most of them. No chance in hell. Only youngsters I can see getting minutes is actually Vanieri and Skelly, since Arteta has promised them that. Although Arteta's promises also mean basically nothing these days, because he promised Emil Smith-Rowe a crucial role in the title race last year. He played one game, full game, got man of the match against Luton, then had few cameos for 10-15 minutes here or there. He got fed up, he left. Seriously. Then we go back. Then we are talking about Fabio Vieira in general. We signed him 2 years ago for 34 million. So what was the point in signing him if you're loaning him back to Porto at the moment? Since he wasn't started at Porto at the time as well, he wasn't one of the hot prospects in Portugal at the time. What was the point in signing him in general? Because we signed him 2 years ago, 34 million, as I said. He has goal against Brentford. He has a red card against Wolves, I think it was. And he has given some 2-3 key passes in 1 or 2 games. That's all I remember from from Fabio Vieira's time at Arsenal. After that, he's been injured on the bench and not getting subbed on, or on when he's subbed on, he has had awful performances. So what was the point? 34 million well spent, and that is not including the wages we have paid him over the last 2 years. We signed him injured, for God's sakes, as well. So that's not great. And Mikel Arteta, in this transfer window itself, said, oh, this is the season. We have to trust in Fabio Vieira. We have to believe in Fabio Vieira. This will be his breakout season. A few weeks later, see ya, back to Lisbon. No, back to Porto. Sorry, not Lisbon. Back to Porto. What are we doing here? Legitimately, what are we doing here in this instance? Because it's all good if you sell the deadwood, you get rid of players you are not gonna use, or you loan them out for experience. But if you do that, you need to have replacements. In this instance, better replacements. And we just don't have that. In a way as well, if we look at Trossard, right? He looks like he's fed up with Mikel Arteta in a way. Played him through the whole preseason and instantly starts from the bench. Instantly on the bench when season kicks off. In my opinion, Trossard should start. You could argue all you want the fact that he's an impact sub. He comes off the bench, he scores a goal and everything. But truth of the matter is that you need to start the players that are in the best of forms. And the truth is, Trossard is on exceptional form in a way. He does great job there. Martinelli has done nothing in preseason. He almost pretty much did nothing in last season to prove that he should be starting. Trossard has done way more. He has scored and assisted way more, even though he came off the bench most of the time last year. Yet Arteta persists of starting Gabriel Martinelli. At some point, this penny will drop. At some point. The fact that Trossard will be fed up with being a backup dancer to Martinelli, he drops stinkers almost every single game. Well, most of the games. Not every single game, but very quite a bit of amount of games. At some point, the penny has to drop. It cannot go like this for another season. For Trossard, it might drop very soon. It feels that way, at least, looking how he's celebrating, his attitude. Yes, he's good and everything, but he has to start. It's not a coincidence that since Arteta has been here, he has tried to replace Martinelli 2 or 3 times already. You really think we were in for Mudryk as a backup for Saka? For Martinelli? Give over, no chance. No chance in hell. We didn't sign Mudryk. Okay, we dodged the bullet. We signed Trossard. Trossard is a backup for Saka now. Doesn't look too happy about it, does he? He has more end product, most clinical finisher in the team. He scores on consistent basis. And if you exclude the penalty goal Saka, for example, scored last year because he's our main penalty taker, he scored pretty much the same amount of goals as Trossard last year. And Trossard half the season came off the bench. He came on as a starter only when Martinelli was injured for some time. Trossard has deserved starting role at Arsenal. Martinelli in last year has done nothing to deserve this. He's had one great season at Arsenal. One good, somewhat great season at Arsenal. One. Since then, he has fallen off the face of the earth. Has had mediocre performances, at best. He last year couldn't finish chances he finished 2 years ago with his eyes closed. It feels like he has lost some pace as well. And this could be a hot take, a wild take, genuinely. But there is a possibility that at some point, if Mikel Arteta, let's just say, stays here for 2 years more, 3 years more, because the contract apparently is there, that at some point Martinelli will leave. And I don't mean he will leave on his own will. He will get sold. I can see that. Because he cannot keep playing like this. Trossard won't be happy with starting off the bench if Martinelli keeps dropping stinkers. Plus, if you add on top of that the fact that Arteta has already 2-3 times tried to replace Martinelli, at some point this penny also will drop. And we have to pray, and you have to pray that these both don't happen at the same time. Because if they both happen at the same time, we're screwed. Instantly, we're screwed in that instance. Big up Harry, nothing wrong a player to start from. I'm not saying there's something wrong with players starting off the bench. But it feels that way that Trossard is fed up also starting from the bench. With his output, what he brings to the team, yes, you can say he's the 12th man and stuff like that. But he's the most clinical finisher at the team. And he plays much better than Martinelli. Over the last year and a half, he has played much better than Martinelli. Martinelli looks like a massive shadow of himself he was 2 years ago. And at some point, Trossard has to start. He needs to start. He deserves to start. Because if you have the output Trossard has had when coming off the bench, and he keeps only coming off the bench, he won't be satisfied with that. At some point, he will want to leave as well. He will fall out with Mikel Arteta. And as we all know, Mikel Arteta is very stubborn, man of the principles and all that stuff. As soon as something will start to stir up with Trossard, similarly like it did at Brighton, in a way, he will sell him. But what's going to happen then? Martinelli will start every single game again. So in that instance, again, nothing will change because Martinelli has done nothing to justify him being a starter at the moment. We have two decent left wingers. And at the moment, Trossard is better. There's no argument about that. If Martinelli catches the form he had 2 years ago, okay, cool, go with it, start him. I have no problem with that. 100% Trossard will not have problems with that. But at the moment, Martinelli compared to Trossard is like night and day. Trossard is in much better form, in much better condition, and he actually can provide. He's more technical than Martinelli and everything. Because I cannot watch this every single game, Martinelli run down the byline with his head bumped down into his knees, just looking at the ball, then running down to the byline and cross the ball in hopes that the ball hasn't already gone out for a goal kick, and when the cross comes in, half the time it's a cross that nobody can even get to because he's crossing with his weak foot. Last week he also played on the right wing when Saka came off against Wolves. He looked even worse than he does on left wing. So at some point something has to happen here. Either good or bad. Because I don't see at the moment how Martinelli can justify him starting over Trossard. And I can see this. I can see this happening at some point. And there's also an argument to be made that at some point one of them will get sold. Just who will be first? My money, in a way, would be on Martinelli. Because Arteta has tried to replace him 2 or 3 times already while he has been here. And if Martinelli keeps playing like he has, at some point he will get sold. Barcelona has wanted him for the last 2 years. Now they want Nico Williams. Good luck to them for getting him next season, next summer most likely. So it is a weird one. It really is a weird one at the moment with Martinelli. But going back, before we go back, big up Adjeri, big up, big up, big up. Let's see what you sign. Genuinely, let's see what you sign. Because at the moment, nothing has been confirmed, nothing has happened. No Gehi, no Cherki, no nothing. Let's wait and see. But yeah, now let's hope this deal goes through. Because as soon as the deal goes through, Arteta has to sign someone. Edu has to sign a striker, a forward. He needs to sign. Saka needs a backup. We need a proper bagsman. We need another midfielder, to be honest, in my opinion, as well. We need 3 players. Not to mention the fact, if we loan out even Ramsdale, we need to sign a goalkeeper as well. So at the end of the window, we may need actually 4 players in this instance. And Ramsdale has said himself, I don't want to sit on the bench for another season at Arsenal. So what are we doing here? It's like, Arsenal are doing everything last second, which at the end of the day actually may result in a panic buy. And we all know how that has gone for Arsenal. Unless Arsenal are somehow gonna drop something like they did with Thomas Partey, where on transfer deadline day, they go to the club, what they did with Atletico Madrid, drop their 58, in that instance that was 45 million pounds, I think, what we can get striker, or Gyökeres, 80, 100 million, they will drop the bag and get the player. Which at the moment I don't see happening, to be honest. I don't think we are broke, but there is something to it. Legitimately, there is something to it. Either Cronkies don't want to give Edu money before he proves he can actually sell players for ROI, return on the investment, or what? Because Arsenal have never been a club who needs to sell to sign. Never. Never ever they have done that. We usually sign and then just hope we can sell someone. But this transfer window, we are selling to sign, basically. We sold Emil Smith-Rowe. That big part of the money, according to reports, has gone to Calafiori's deal. If this is the case with Nketiah being sold and that money is going to go for Merino, we are not signing anyone. I don't want to believe that, but it feels that way. It feels like Kroenkes have turned the screws to Edu and make him to show that he can actually do the job. Because in the last 5 years, he's done nothing. He has only wasted money in many instances as well, if you think about it. Nothing more to add on top of that. By the way, let's go quickly to Romano. Let's see if there are any developments on Nketiah front. Liverpool want Chiesa. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Patino, yeah. Patino, Deportivo La Coruña has confirmed deal for Charlie Patino. 1 million for Arsenal. and Arsenal have apparently some big sell-on clause in the future sale. He's also Spanish. He has Spanish passport as well, since his dad is Spanish, by the way. Just saying that as well. So he was the next Ramsey for Arsenal. He was our Gundogan potentially for Arsenal. That was two and a half years ago. The hype was there. He went to loan to Blackpool. He got relegated. Blackpool fans apparently loved him. He went loan to Swansea, finished 14th, did nothing much. And now he's been sold for 1 freaking million. 1 million. 1 million. Yet he was the highest rated Arsenal talent about two and a half years ago here. Interesting how world works, doesn't it? We let go Hutchinson for free to Chelsea, get some sell-on clause and some compensation, and 1 year later, when he doesn't get into the Chelsea squad, he gets loaned out to Ipswich, does good there, and then gets sold to Ipswich for 22, 24 million, something like that. Arsenal got some sell-on clause value there, but most of the money went to Chelsea. That's good business. Arsenal somehow don't see it that way. They don't operate like that. That's what's pissing me off in a very massive scale, to be honest. This is a big one as well. I'm gonna talk about this. I wanted to talk about this in about 5-10 minutes, but we might as well talk about now. Bayern are open to Kingsley Coman exit as initial loan with buy clause. Bayern need outgoings to complete new signings, and Coman's one of the club's top earners. It's concrete possibility, according to Sky Sports Germany. Coman one of big names for the final 3 weeks. And if we talk on top of that, Pacino has left. Here we go. And if we talk on top of that, Kingsley Coman himself has decided to leave Bayern before Friday's deadline. And here is the kicker. His destination is not known, but several English clubs are interested. Who wants to put their money on the fact that one of them is Arsenal? Who is willing to do that? Big up BX Gunner in the chat. Big up, big up, big up, big up. Who wants to put their money on the fact that one of them could be Arsenal? Arsenal need a left winger, to be honest. A player can play left wing, right wing. Stands to reason. I hope it's not, but it is what it is. I really hope it's not, to be honest. He would take massive amount of wages. He's injury prone. He's not ready for Premier League. For me, he wouldn't work. No, for me, he would work. In Arteta's system, he wouldn't work. That's what I'm saying. In Arteta's system, he wouldn't work. That's how it should go. In Arteta's system, he wouldn't work. Arsenal is one of them. Big up Jubril. Arsenal is one of them. Really? Are there reports that Arsenal is one of them? I'm just speculating here, since it's several English clubs. Teams that need wingers are Arsenal and Liverpool. Liverpool have inquired about Chiesa as well. That's my biggest thing. Arsenal need a winger. And that's why I'm thinking Arsenal are in for them. Is there actually like confirmation from someone that it is Arsenal? Because if there is, that's actually nuts. Anyways, I think Nketiah actually might be leaving. It looks like he will leave. That's actually kind of a good one. Now, here's something that doesn't concern Arsenal, but I wanted to talk about for a brief second. Paulo Dybala. He rejected insane money move to Saudi last week. Last week he rejected a massive move for Saudi. And he said, everybody looks at the money aspect, but I put many things on the table to make my choice. There's my family, my wife in particular, the city, the team, the desire to play for Argentina again since he's 30. I feel in good shape, even if I always see lots of criticism about my injuries. When someone sees those numbers, I can't deny that you think about it. However, you put many things on the table, and in the end, those things make me the choice to remain. Big up to Paulo Dybala. One of the few, to be honest, who have been linked and gotten proper offers from Saudi and haven't gone there. He's one of those who has shown that for him money isn't as important. He thinks about his legacy and his footballing career, because he said, I want to play for Argentina again. I'm 30 years old. And this is what I like for Emil Smith-Rowe as well. He said himself, I want out of Arsenal pretty much. Why? Because I want to be a starter, I want to have guaranteed minutes, he wants to compete for England 2026 World Cup spot, and he wants to play. Arteta promised him that in January, didn't deliver, pretty much lied to him, and now he has moved to Fulham. So big up to family man Paulo Dybala. And to be honest, being in Rome isn't the worst one as well, as long as we stay away from Sane. So you would take Coman over Sane, Nathan. Big up Nathan in the chat. Arsenal should go for Adingra from Ryan. We talked about this in the beginning of the stream. Arsenal are interested in Adingra. There is some interest in Adingra. Arsenal have contacted Adingra's camp about it, but nothing much has come from that, as of now at least. Genuinely, as of now. He is a family man. Exactly, he is a family man, and I really like that, because these days many footballers just chase the money. Fair play to them. Let's be real. Footballing career is not a long career, and it could be even short due to injuries. Get your bag when you can. But there are certain players, for example, Dybala. In a way, he has played his whole career in Italy, pretty much. He has earned a big money. He could have easily moved there, but he prefers to stay in Italy. Respect him to that. This is a big one. That's the thing. Well, neither of them. I fully get that. I fully get that. I don't want either of them as well, to be honest. I'd rather get Adingra and everything. We're gonna talk about the winger in a second Arsenal have been linked with today. Trust me, you gonna pretty much flip your table, I would assume. Now, before we get into that, Arteta said, "When I lose a duel, I'm upset. It's lucky Mikel Merino doesn't lose many duels." Mikel Merino won 326 duels in La Liga last season, 29 more than any other player in Europe's top 5 leagues. Now, I'm not a big stats person, because many stats are very flawed, because there are many loopholes in these stats that kind of don't show the full picture, right? And this is one of them. He won 326 duels, 29 more than any other player in the Europe's top 5 leagues. The thing is, La Liga is arguably the best league in the world. You say Premier League is the best league in the world, but for me, footballing wise, La Liga is better. I'm just saying that now because the way I watch La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, Premier League, of course, Championship even, everything. For me, La Liga, is the most eye-pleasing. The way I like to watch football, right? It's more technical and everything. They don't press, and there is no that high intensity in press as it has in Premier League. Because Premier League is physical, and there's much less time on the ball, much less time on many things. And that's why these duels, I get it, what he means there, but at the same time, let's see this transfer into Premier League. Because if he gets these same numbers in Premier League, I'm all cool. But if these numbers drop from the face of the earth in Premier League, no thanks. No. And as you mentioned in the chat, as Nathan mentioned, never heard of him before. I have. I'm not gonna lie, I have. I think that's the... Skov Olsen is the guy who used to play for Hoffenheim, right? It's that guy. Skov Olsen. I think it's the guy from Hoffenheim. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the same guy who used to play for Hoffenheim. That's why I know him. No? Who I think he plays for Hoffenheim had? Hoffenheim, wait. I thought that was Hoffenheim. Oh, that's Skov. That's the other Danish dude. That's Skov. Ay man, these Skovs, man. Freaking hell. Anyways, my bad. Anyways, he played for Bologna. Yeah! Okay, now I get the picture. Yeah, Bologna. Now I get it. My bad. Mixed up. But I know who we're talking about here. Okay. Cool. What? First of all, what's his stats saying? 24 years young. So definitely fits the age profile Mikel Arteta likes. That is the first thing we have to address, because Arteta likes people within certain age range. Let's just say that for lack of better arguments. So he has scored 2 goals in a loss against RC Genk. 5 games, 2 goals. So he has done pretty much nothing during this season. Interesting. Okay, overall balance. We need to take a look at that. Let's see. How much was he? 25 to 30 million. Club Brugge won 25 to 30 million euros, which would be about what? 22 to 25 million pounds? Something like that. So, he has moved to Belgian league. We don't look at Serie A because he was hella young there. That was 3 years ago and he was 21. We're looking more at the Jupiler League, which is here in Belgium. So 24. Here we go. He last season in the league, 28 games, 10 goals, 4 assists. To be honest, doesn't scream that much of a player. He's improved every single season, I can give him credit for that. 11 points, 12 points, 14 points. 25 million for this guy. Can play right mid, so basically backup for Bukayo Saka. Backup for Bukayo Saka. What his injury record is saying? Oh, holy crap! Holy. Last season, he missed 6, 10, 12 games due to injuries. 12 games. August 16, season just started. Why the hell do you need the rest for? What the hell is this? Anyways, so it's 12 games last season he missed. Minor knock, went out for hip injury, groin injury, muscle injury. He has quite a bit of muscle issues from what I can see. That's never a good thing, especially in Premier League. 30, exactly. 35 million for bench player is irresponsible. Yet, I think, was it on TikTok yesterday? No, today. I put out a TikTok from yesterday's stream where I talked about Fabio Vieira. 34 million in 2 years, most of the time injured, bench. All I can remember, 1 goal against Brentford, red card against Wolves or Palace, few key passes on some sub instances, but the rest of the time he's bench player or injured. 34 million for that guy in 2 years, have seen nothing. Mikel Arteta this transfer window said, believe in Vieira. This is his breakout season. Few weeks later, loans him out back to Porto. We signed him with a broken foot. He wasn't even the starting player for Porto at the time. And people say I'm deluded because that was 34 million well spent. It's developing players loaning out him to Porto at the moment. 34 million over 2 years and has done nothing for the club. Yet that means it's developing players right now. It's another player we will waste. If we signed him for 25 million pounds, more money wasted. That is irresponsible. Genuinely irresponsible in my opinion. Just like you're saying, Nathan. That is hella irresponsible. 22 to 25 million for this guy. For a bench player. Who gets quite a bit of injuries, by the way. Who gets quite a bit of injuries. And doesn't look like the world beater. Like, let's just... Wait. For the sake of argument. Simon Adingra. Okay, Côte d'Ivoire. Another Pepe / Gervinho. 2 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist this season. 30 million euros, 25 million pounds. 22 years old, so 2 years younger, technically, than Skov Olsen. Premier League proven. Most likely we would sign him from, if we went go for him, he would be what, 30, 35 million pounds? Maybe 40 even? He contract runs out in a year and a half, in 2 years basically from now on. 2 years, his contract runs out. He would be about 40 million pounds in my opinion. Something in that region. Can play right wing, left wing. The thing is, we are looking at all these pacey players who can run, who can do everything, but the way we play, we don't need the pace. We control the game 90% of the time. We never hit anyone on counters most of the time. We play very slow, methodic, very boring type of football. Now, Adingra obviously for me is better than Skov Olsen. Well, because I've seen him play in Premier League, he's Premier League proven, he can do the job. On the weekend, great assist for João Pedro to score and to win against Manchester United. That was the cherry on the top even on top of that. Great assist. Just saying that. I would take him at Arsenal. Just gonna be honest with you. Adingra had better stats than Neto, Coman, and Sane last season. I'd say, yeah, if based on stats, definitely based on stats, yeah. But it's just not the stats for me. I would take him in general. I would legit take him on in general at Arsenal. Definitely. He played, 33 games in Premier League, 7 goals, 2 assists, which is not great at the moment. But he's still young, he can develop, he can be a backup for Saka, maybe for Martinelli as well. We will have cover for both wings and everything, so that would actually be kind of good. Great player for Champions League, well, not Champions League maybe, but for Cups, definitely would be good player for Cups, FA Cup, a Carabao Cup. Champions League would be hit or miss. By the way, on Thursday there's a draw, so definitely keep an eye on that. So I'm not saying he would, I'd say he would be actually pretty good at Arsenal. 31 games last year, 6 goals, 1 assist. Not too bad, let's be real. Is not injury prone as well. Obviously playing for Brighton is a bit different than playing for Arsenal for him, but I think for Arsenal he actually could do the job. He definitely could do the job. I would take him at Arsenal, yeah, he would be about 40 million pounds. 35-40 million pounds, in my opinion. But it is what it is. But definitely I don't want this Skov Olsen guy. Definitely. 5 days left in the window. If Arsenal signs Skov Olsen, 100% this is a panic buy. A panic buy because Arsenal don't have the time and they cannot do proper business. Yet because they have wasted the rest of the window. Month and a half to sign Calafiori, month to sign Merino, and Merino still hasn't been unveiled as an Arsenal player. Still. It's been a month. So that is the big case here. Big case here. The thing is though, there's a player who could be on the outs, and we're gonna talk about Kieran Tierney here. Let's move on from Adingra and everyone. Let's talk about Kieran Tierney. Because according to reports, there are 6 clubs, 6 interested in Kieran Tierney. Celtic, obviously, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Girona, Sevilla, and Valencia. Now, if we think about this logically, right? Celtic are not getting him because they cannot afford him. Let's take that out of the equation instantly. However, Newcastle can afford him. They're trying to sign Trippier as well. So maybe they need a left back. Injury prone, but it is what it is. Aston Villa, they have Madsen, they have Digne, and that's it. So he could fit in there actually quite nicely. Not to mention the fact, wasn't Unai Emery who brought Tierney to the club as well? If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it also Emery who brought Kieran Tierney to Arsenal? Because I have a sneaky suspicion he was. It was very close to the time. 1920. Yeah. It was Unai Emery who bought Kieran Tierney to Arsenal. Yeah. It was him. August 8th for 24 million pounds. Yes, it was. It was Unai Emery who brought Kieran Tierney to Arsenal. So Unai Emery wouldn't mind him back at Aston Villa. Girona, do they need a left back? They have that. They could take him. And obviously, La Liga sides need some player depth, so that would work. Although Tierney is on a very high wages, so I don't think Girona would be in this instance the right team to go for because they cannot afford the wages. Aston Villa, though, reunited with Unai Emery, that would be the perfect world for him. The question is, if it's true, how much would they pay for him? Because Tierney has been on the outs of Arteta pretty much since the beginning of Arteta's tenure at Arsenal. That's the case. Because Arteta doesn't want to play the style that suits certain instances for Kieran Tierney. Because Kieran Tierney is a proper defender. He loves to overlap. He can defend. He can put in a good cross on the ball as well. And he can do the job also at left center back if needed. So basically he's like Calafiori. But he doesn't have the hair, I guess. That's why he's not rated over. It's because of the injuries. Yet at the same time, Tomiyasu, more injury prone than Calafiori. Zinchenko, more injured than Tierney. Sorry, not Calafiori, but Tierney. Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, all more injured than Tierney. Yet people only call Tierney injury prone most of the time. Tierney actually would be perfect for Arsenal. Because we need someone to overlap Gabriel Martinelli. Yet Arteta just doesn't want to do that. He wants to invert, he wants to overlap from midfield and do all those type of things. Yet at the same time, when Arteta won the FA Cup, we weren't inverting, we were overlapping with 3 at the back formation, completely different style, and it worked like a charm. And since he has switched away from that, we have pretty much done nothing in the league. We have won nothing, no cups, no nothing. I think Tierney, to be honest, was one of the players who are the most mistreated in Arsenal as well, in my opinion. Together with Ramsdale. Those 2 players have been mistreated the worst at Arsenal since Arteta has been here. And that is something that hurts in a way. Because for me, Tierney, as out-and-out left-back, is the best left-back in our team. The best left-back in the team. Because Zinchenko isn't a left-back. Timber is not a left-back. He's a right-back / center-back. Tomiyasu is a center-back / right-back. Calafiori is a more left center-back than a left-back, but he can play there, so that's why he's the flavor of the month, if you will. So Nketiah is also a left center-back and then only a left-back if needed. So Tierney, for me, is the best left-back in the team. Yet we don't use him, because he cannot invert. This obsession with the style of play at times is really, really annoying. Because certain players that would fit perfectly to Arsenal's team, if we just change the tactics for Arsenal, how we play, just a tiny bit, generally just a tiny bit, maybe invert from the right and keep Tierney as a left center back, and that's it, would work like a charm. Yet at the same time, we cannot invert from the right, because the triangle on the right side between Saka, Odegaard and White works like a charm. We don't do that. So we have to invert from the left. And that is the case, and that in this instance Tierney is very mistreated because he is out of the position he needs to be playing. And I think it's pissing Tierney off as well. More than injuries, to be honest, I think. Because Arteta has shut down multiple players this way, and Tierney is the one that's just been talked the most in this instance. And I hope he leaves because he deserves to be in a team where he plays consistently and to actually win something. Genuinely believe so. Good luck to him if he leaves. Genuinely, good freaking luck. Get out of Arsenal. Good luck to him. Genuinely. I feel sorry for Tierney. Very sorry in this instance, I'm not gonna lie. Very, very sorry. And one of the last ones for today, but this is the big one. Al Ali, yesterday, submitted initial bid for to Napoli for Victor Osimhen. And by the way, only 65 million euros. So half of his release clauses that they have at Napoli. Because his release clauses are 130 million. So they submitted half. And the biggest kicker in all of this is Napoli are prepared to let him go. Which means they are ready to accept the 65 million release clauses pretty much. Maybe 10 million on top of it in add-ons. Maybe. Yet, Arsenal are not going in for him. No agreement between the striker and Ali, of course. Deal is still far on players' side. Osimhen will consider options, plus not open to loan. But overall, 65 million, half of his release clauses, and Napoli are prepared to let him go. Which would imply that they are willing to accept offers which are less than his release clauses, 130 million. And on top of that, there were also rumors that they're willing to accept something like 90, and even below that. So how comes Arsenal in a desperate need for a striker, but they are not going in for him? Anyone? Any takers? Anyone want to take a wild guess why? Because for me in this instance, as soon as we sign a striker, and even a backup for Bukayo Saka, for this ownership and Mikel Arteta, there is no way back. Because instantly signing us a striker and the winger means that we must. There is no need, there's no challenge, we must win the league. And if we fall short, Arteta has to go because he has been given all the tools to win the league in the last 5.5 years, with nearly 800 million spent if we would sign Osimhen, and he has done nothing. Because we are legitimately striker, arguably a striker, a backup for Saka, short of actually going properly for the title. Maybe throw in a midfielder as well, so 3 players. But if we sign them, there is no way back for KSC to say, oh, better luck next year and everything. Instantly, there's massive accountability for the actions, and if we fall short, they're screwed instantly. There is no exceptions, there's no context, there is nothing. But as long as we don't sign certain players, there is a backup option, there's plan B, there's a fallback plan to fall onto in case we don't succeed. And that is the reason I think we are not signing certain players in this club. Because it's almost every single year we are this close to a certain thing, challenging, winning the league and everything. And we always come up 1-2 players short, which would guarantee us certain instances. But as soon as we get consistently into Champions League spots, everything stops. How comes we get close to winning the league under Wenger? We need few signings. We instantly don't sign anyone. Because we have guaranteed Champions League spot and KSC are comfortable there. There's no other explanation to that. They're getting Champions League money, extra revenue from TVs and all that stuff. There's nothing else. Because most of the time, if we win the league one time, everyone would shut up for some instance, everyone would be happy and they say, okay, we go next year again, but if we don't win, it wouldn't be that of a big deal. Nobody's expecting us to do a 2-peat, 3-peat, 4-peat like City are doing. They just want us to win one time at least in this year. Because that would mean the world to Arsenal fans. Obviously, for me, I would like to win almost every single trophy obtainable. But I understand it's not possible. But just win something. But Arsenal don't want to do this. Arsenal don't want to go in the market, act like a big club, and sign the necessary players to get the job done. And that is every single year, and it's a recycling over and over and over again. And it never stops, it never ends, pretty much. Never stops, never ends for Arsenal. I'm seeing reports saying Osimhen wants 300 to 500 per week. Don't know what is accurate. I think this salary applies to Saudi specifically. I've seen these reports that he wants substantial increase in salary, but I think this specifically implies to Saudi, because Napoli have signed Lukaku, and Napoli will do everything possible to slowly squeeze out Osimhen from the club in a way. And I think these big wages mostly apply for Saudi, because if Osimhen expects any team in Europe to pay him this type of money, he might as well go and sign for Saudi now if it's true. Because there's no club in Europe who's gonna pay him 300k plus. No club in Europe. Because there isn't a club who would deem him that good enough. Because if you get that type of salary, you better be the best goddamn striker you have ever seen in your life. You can justify this salary for Neymar, Ronaldo of course, Messi, from olden days, Pele, Cruyff, Eusebio, who else was there? Like massive ballers, everyone, like Riquelme even to the state, George Hagi, and all these top Ronaldinho, R9, and everyone. Osimhen doesn't even scrape the level those guys achieved in abilities. So there's no chance in hell anyone is gonna pay him that. That is highest level of delusion. And the only way I can see this being true if this is specifically for Saudi, because Saudi can't pay that. None of the other clubs in Europe ever is gonna pay anyone that. Genuinely no one. That's just my take on it, that's just my thought process, but that's the way I see it basically. Now quickly, let's check if there's any news on anything Arsenal more related before we get into other things. Charlie Patino has moved to and we already talked about La Liga 2 side. David Raya, Calafiori, the flavors of the month, Manieri, Rice, everyone's training. Arsenal are close to agreeing the deal, so nothing special. Crystal Palace are close to agreeing the deal to sign Nketiah, with Arsenal expected to accept the bid. No problem anticipating personal terms. Better get it done today then. Today. And by the way, still no announcement of Merino today, which is kind of mad. Liverpool won, by the way, our initial approach for Chiesa as well. That is kind of interesting for me. Anyhow, Southampton want Yuri Alberto from Corinthians since they sold Alcaraz to Flamenco. That's kind of domino affected there, but nothing special. So let's see what else is there. What else is happening with Arsenal in some transfer news and rumor department. Oh, that was weird. I misclicked. My bad. I'm very sorry about that. Now let's see. Arsenal could accept late winger offer after West Ham latest. Now let's see what that entails. Late winger offer. Is that Reece Nelson? Ooh. Transfer correspondent Pete O'Rourke. Let's see. Arsenal will not stand in the way of the last gasp exit of Reece Nelson. No shit, Sherlock, I'm not gonna lie. The 24-year-old Gunner's future has been subject to speculation. Nobody cares. He played yesterday for some weird on weekend for some weird freaking reason, even though we're trying to get rid of him. To be honest, we risked a lot playing Nelson because if he gets injured, there's no chance in hell we're selling him. Leicester City, Crystal Palace and West Ham have been keen on the former England under-21 international earlier in the summer window. Arsenal exit for Nelson still possible this week. Edu Nketiah has also faced Emilia, blah 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 blah. Nketiah. So nothing new, only about Edward Nketiah. Merino, Joker's party, 9 transfer decision that Arsenal will make this week. Yeah. Florentino Perez heaps praise on Arsenal's low knee after Real Madrid win. Florentino Perez. Who did Real Madrid play? Real Valladolid they played. So he talks about Karl Hein there. Nice. Report, Arsenal could launch 11th hour hijack for 55 million rated forward ahead of Friday. So who it is? 55 million. Osimhen? Yeah, it's Osimhen. It's Victor Osimhen. So basically they're suggesting the fact that since Al Ahly offered 65 million, Napoli are open to letting him go, there's a chance Arsenal could actually launch a last-second ditch hijack bid. So that's a suggestion even. That's not even a confirmation or anything. Gandhi Rudiger says Arsenal have new world-class star. Should be Saliba or Raya. Oh, it's Gary Lineker. I read about this today. He thinks that save Raya made is world class, and to be honest, it kind of was, not gonna lie. That's about David Raya. Report, Arsenal 30 million attacker close completing switch to Premier League rivals. Yeah, get him out of the club for fuck's sake. Get Edu Nketiah out of this club. Pundit says Arsenal now have a player who's just like Liverpool's Diogo Jota. What the hell is that? If he's talking about Trossard, that's about year too late, mate, but it is what it is. Yeah, it's about Andreas Trossard, it is what it is. Anything else? Anything else in the world of football that regards Arsenal and more transfer rumors? Arsenal FC, mostly about Deportivo La Coruña and Charlie Pacino. Arsenal attacking plays take shape ahead of the new season. Arsenal keeping an eye on Belgium Pro League attacker. Here we go, Skov Olsen. Report 5 Arsenal players could leave this week before deadline day. 5? Wait, 5. Nketiah, Nelson, Tierney, Ramsdale. Who's the 5th? Who is the 5th? Nelson, cool. Nelson. Who else is there? Wait, Reece Nelson. 5, I can count 4. Who is the 5th one? Nketiah, Nelson, Ramsdale. Oh, Kiwior is still there. Oh, right. Jakub Kiwior is another who's been heavily linked with the exit door, though. Juventus' interest has cooled down after signed Pierre Kalulu. There are still talks that Bologna would want Kiwior. There are some talks that still AC Milan maybe could come in for Kiwior, although I deem that unlikely. But Bologna still want that left-sided center-back spot replaced. They haven't found a proper replacement for Calafiori, even though I thought they signed a center-back. I might be mistaken, but I thought they signed one. There are still talks about that. How do you feel about Lookman? Decent player. He's a decent winger, but he's not for Arsenal. He's not for Arsenal. It's something similar like when we signed Nicolas Pepe. which I was banging a drum all over the time when he was at Arsenal, when we were playing under Mikel Arteta, and even Emery was a bit misusing him in a way. The fact that most of these players thrive when you have open spaces, you run into those spaces, you have open room to take players on one-on-one with speed, and you can carry the ball. Arsenal have none of that in the team. We basically camp on opponent's side of the box against low mid block. And Arsenal still don't know how to beat it properly, and I think Lookman in that instance would be kind of wasted. It's something similar with Martinelli, because if you look 2 seasons ago when we finished second for the first time, we were playing rock and roll, gun-ho type of football, right? And we have lots of spaces, we were running all over the place and everything. And that's when Martinelli shined, Saka shined, even Jesus in a way shined until he got injured. Odegaard shined, even Xhaka shined in that instance. Because we had open spaces, we were moving all over the place, we were getting everyone confused, we had open lanes to run into. And that was where everyone was shining. Now, from the last season, what I understand, we're playing similar also this season. We have slowed down massively. We have shut down certain places, and we play very slow, pragmatic, and methodical football. Robotic, in a way. And that is completely has stuttered and shut down the development and the output of even to Gabriel Martinelli massively. Which is one of the biggest reasons I strongly believe that Martinelli should not be starting as well. Because for the last 2 seasons, Martinelli, this season beginning and last season, he has been quite awful. Very big shadow of himself he used to be. And since last year we changed the style we play, Martinelli has not been himself. Trossard fits that style much, much more. Hence why when Trossard comes on, even though he comes on as a super sub, he thrives. He's the most clinical finisher we have, and he can score in those instances. And I think Lookman is quite similar to Martinelli in a way. And that instance, I don't think Lookman would thrive at Arsenal. Plus, Atalanta would want about 50-60 million for him. I'm not sure Arsenal would pay that as well. So that's how I feel about him. I wouldn't take him at Arsenal, given the fact he doesn't fit how we play under Mikel Arteta. If it was a different manager, even under Unai Emery, I think Lookman would do just fine. He would do actually quite good. Just under Mikel Arteta's style and his vision and the phases he wants to play, Lookman just doesn't fit in my opinion. Just doesn't fit in per se. Because the way we play, we actually don't need that much pace to attack. We need more skillful, more technical type of players, and we just that's why I want also Trossard to start over Martinelli, because Trossard is much more technical than Martinelli in these instances. So it is what it is. But yeah, I hope that answered your question in this regard. I really hope so. I kind of waffled a bit there, but in the end I think I got to the point I wanted to make. Arsenal attacking play takes shape ahead of the new season. Arsenal blah blah blah. Arsenal star agrees personal terms with Crystal Palace. That's obviously the Nketiah. Trossard insists he's happy with his role as an impact substitute. I really doubt that. I know I might be pushing some narratives here and everything. By the way, just Arsenal, not the most reliable source in this instance. But yeah, I know I'm in competition in the team and it pushes everyone to go to the next level. As I said before, I'm very happy to have impact and help the team. Yeah, but that's what every footballer says in the world. Not to stir up the pot, basically. Because he knows if he says something wrong, he will be on Arteta's blacklist and he's instantly out. Because Arteta is that type of manager. For me, I think he's slowly starting to get fed up with the fact that he's not a starter. Because he's putting in performances game in, game out over Martinelli on massive level. And he just doesn't get started whatsoever. Well, he got started last season, but that was mostly due to Martinelli's injury, him coming back, getting up to shape. And as soon as Martinelli got to a certain point, back to bench. And I think Trossard is slowly getting pissed off about that. I think. That's just my speculation. Because he, in a way, should be starting. He should be starting, let's be real. But yeah, Martinelli, he needs to start scoring. He needs to start doing this. But the way we play doesn't fit him whatsoever. That's the biggest issue. And Arteta needs to do something to unlock him. Because good managers do that. And so far haven't seen that whatsoever from Mikel Arteta. But yeah, I think there will be a point when the penny will drop on some level. At some point, that's on some level. But it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything new, mostly about Osimhen. Osimhen rejects Al Ahly, but sets price tag for PSG, Arsenal, and Chelsea. That's according to Sports Italia, Football Italia. So, first of all, Italian sports media have to take with massive grain of salt. Corriere dello Sport, Gazzetta d'Italia, Football Italia, all that stuff. Not the most reliable. Take that first. So, what we are saying, although Victor Osimhen turns down the 17 million offer from Al Ahly, it does show PSG Arsenal that Napoli are prepared exactly. Because Napoli were willing to accept half the release clauses, 65 million euros. And that just shows to us that he's available and he should be available. That's the big thing. When it's banned, the plan was always to sell this summer for 100 release clause, so Napoli would not have to shoulder the 10 million per season wage. 10 million per season. 10 million per season. 10 million per season. How much is that a week? 192 grand a week. And that's in euros, by the way, right? So that's about what, 180 to 185,000 a week. If Arsenal would sign him, it would go up to about 200, 210, so extra 30, 40k, which I think, in my opinion, would be decent in this instance. If we can afford to pay Havertz 260, 270k a week, definitely that would be justifiable in a way from... We need a striker, so Osimhen, it is what it is. I guess that's the most talked one about. But yeah. Transfer deadline is in 4 days, and we have almost done nothing. And that is what is worrying me. Very, very worrying me. Well, we'll see what's going to happen, how it's going to go. But yeah, at the end of the day, we have to sit patient. And once the window shuts, and if we have done nothing, let the pitchforks pretty much come out in a way. But yeah, from me for you, that will be end for today. If you're new around here, of course, destroy that like button, smash it, and smash it again. Subscribe, hit that bell, comment in the chat, comment in the comments if you're watching this as a podcast, listening to it or something on YouTube. See you all tomorrow. Take care, stay safe. Hopefully by tomorrow, Nketiah is gone, Merino has been unveiled finally, and there are some more new signings happening. Take care, stay safe, have a great day.